The Man on Harlow Street. In the rusted heart of Brookridge, a small American town caught between past glories and present decline, tensions simmered like tar on a summer road. The town was split not just by the river that ran through it, but by invisible lines carved by race, history, and resentment. Harlow Street was the unofficial border. On one side lived the old money white families who clung to legacy and faded pride. On the other were the mostly Black and Latino communities, struggling under the weight of generational poverty, poor schools, and quiet but persistent discrimination. That year, Brookridge saw a shift. A man named Elijah Ford moved into a crumbling house on the white side of Harlow Street. He was quiet, kept to himself, and wore old army jackets that had seen more dust than sunlight. His skin was deep brown, his eyes harder to read than a winter sky. The house he bought had been empty since the last white family moved out years ago, chased off by the creeping rot of economic collapse and whispered fear. To some, Elijah was just another outsider. To others, especially a group of local men who called themselves the Loyal Sons, he was an affront. The Loyal Sons were not new. They wore American flag bandanas, camouflage jackets, and tattoos of eagles and crosses, calling themselves patriots. Their idea of patriotism, however, was exclusionary and steeped in racism. They saw Elijah's arrival not as a neighbor moving in, but as an invasion. They began small slashed tires, trash on the porch, shouted slurs from pickups as they drove past. Elijah didn't react. He fixed his own tires. He swept the trash. He never responded. This silence infuriated them more than if he'd fought back. Then one night, they came with baseball bats and fire. 3 trucks rolled up to Elijah's house just after midnight. 6 men, faces half covered, hearts full of hate, approached his porch. The leader, a thick-necked man named Jace, raised his bat. But before he could swing, the porch light clicked on. And there stood Elijah. He was calm. He didn't reach for a weapon, didn't yell. He just looked at them. "You're standing on government property," he said. They laughed. Jace stepped forward. "This is Harlow Street, old man. Ain't no government here." Elijah nodded slowly. Then he stepped back inside. The gang followed, but what they found inside stopped them cold. Elijah's living room was a shrine not to war, but to valor. Framed medals lined the walls. Bronze star, silver star, 3 purple hearts, a medal of honor, photos of Elijah in uniform, Army Special Forces, airborne wings, American flags, foreign battlefields. Then came the wall of faces, dozens of soldiers. Black, white, Latino, Asian smiling, saluting. And at the center, a photo of Elijah shaking hands with 3 different presidents. Bush, Obama, Biden. Jace stepped back, the bat lowering. "What? What is this?" one of them muttered. Elijah came back in holding a small flag that was folded into a perfect triangle. "I buried more friends than you'll ever have," he said softly. "Fought for this country while you were learning to hate it." Jace's voice cracked. Why didn't you say something?" Elijah's gaze hardened. "Because men like you don't listen to stories. You only listen to fear. And I won't let you weaponize mine." One of the younger gang members, a kid no older than 18, began to cry. The sight of the medals, the photos, the quiet dignity of the man they tried to hurt it, shattered something inside him. Then another began to cry. Jace stood frozen, the weight of shame heavier than the bat in his hand. Elijah stepped past them and opened the front door. "You came here with hate. You'll leave with truth. Whether it changes you is up to you." They left in silence. The town changed slowly after that night. Word of what happened spread first as rumors, then as headlines. Elijah became a local hero not because of his medals, but because he faced hatred with unshakable grace. Some of the loyal sons disbanded. One enlisted. Jace left town. Elijah never spoke at rallies or ran for office, but he kept his porch light on every night. And sometimes young men from both sides of Harlow Street would sit with him, listening to stories of war, courage, and what it really meant to fight for a country. And Brookridge began to heal.